What's good, WPF fans? What's good, YouTube fans? Welcome back, Soul Blaze fans. This is going to be the new WPF season, my season 2, it's season 3, WPF Delta Draft Analysis. The wonderful people over at WPF have invited me back for yet another wonderful season of banger Wi-Fi content. So, as you know from CDL, we did not obtain our, most wanted result. We did not win. But we're going to be trying to make a blast here in WPF. This time, we're not taking over a team mid-season and taking on from there. We're going to be doing it from scratch, drafting from scratch, and taking it from the start. Hopefully, we can make playoffs this time, and hopefully, we can take the WPF Delta Cup home. So I'm really excited and thankful for this opportunity. Without any further ado, here is the team that we're going to be using this season. Before we get into that, though, make sure to answer the question of the day. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's get into it with our first Pokemon for the Also City Dragon Dancers and for your boy, Soul Blaze. Of course, the format is going to be Paldea decks, and we got Iron Bundle first pick. I know what you're saying. How, in what world is Iron Bundle a first pick, okay? In what world is it a first pickable Pokemon? You see that special defense stat, you see that HP stat, you're thinking, God damn! How are we going to make this work? The speed is very nice, don't get me wrong. The offensive prowess on this thing is amazing. But how are you going to make that work? Let me tell you, this is not just any Iron Bundle. This right here is free Terra Iron Bundle. And that is a demon. I've used it before in draft. Holy shit, it cooked my pool. I only lost to hacks. You already know, the standard Pokemon player excuse. But I legit only lost one game in pools to hacks. It cleaned out the rest. The switches to this thing is hilariously few. This thing does not have to rely on Hydro Pump with Terra Water, Terra Blast. It can still rely on Hydro Pump and also carry Terra Water, Terra Blast. And you still can risk the Hydro Pump for that if you need the extra damage. It gets Flip Turn, which is boosted by Terra Water as well. It gets U-Turn for Memento. You can Terra Ice it to boost up that Freeze Dry. Obviously, a Water move plus Freeze Dry is going to be giving you perfect coverage. There's nothing that can pretty much resist both, as far as I'm aware. It has to be like some really hard combination of two typings. Like Empoleon resists both of them. But that's maybe like one of the very few instances, and even then you can just U-turn on it. This thing is amazing, man. And then even then you can use Terra for another offense if you see that has a good matchup. We can go Terra Fairy, we can go Terra Electric, we can even go Terra Flying, give us a ground immunity and like totally beat ground types. There's a lot you can do. You can Terra defensively, you can Terra Steel, you can Terra Grass. If there's something specific that you want to counter, you can do that as well. Now, Terra Bundle is going to Terra Stab a lot in this season, but it is one of the few times where it's going to be Terra Preview, so your opponent is going to be knowing what Terra type you bring to the battle before the battle starts, and vice versa. So it's going to be a fact where Iron Bundle with Terra, you know it's Terra Water or Terra Ice, you don't know which, and then you still have to, like, you can prepare for it, but you still have to actually play versus it, which is just a complete demon. So I'm really happy to scoop this up, and hopefully we can build some nice things around it. Speaking of building things around it, let's get into the second pick of the draft. That's going to be Tornadus Therian, Venti. Golden Star Child from the TAO squadron that won me versus Zombie, as you can, like that season right there, the Terra Dragonite season. This is a fantastic Pokemon in my opinion. It's got the very nice complementary speed to Iron Bundle, where it's like, it can go one step down, nothing can build in between, and like get a plus attack nature. They have to go plus speed nature if they want to creep Tornadus Therian and they don't outspeed Bundle like an Oivern, for example. So that is amazing. It's pure typing flying. It's not the best. It is, like, as you can see, there's two issues that arise with the secondary pick. It's electric types. Because both of them are weak to electric, and then it's Stealth Rock. So you might want to run heavy duty boots. You're a little bit weak to knockoff, or maybe if you don't run knockoff, you have to have a really solid removal game, or you might even need to, or I might even need to choose a Terra type for bundle, which is less optimal to deal with a really hazard heavy team. So we'll see about that, but that isn't to say this Pokemon isn't amazing. We also have just two special attackers as of right now, so we need to put on some physical offense like later down the line. I'll show you. But of course, this thing got regen, which is one of the best abilities in the game, arguably. In a game like Pokemon, where it's all about reducing your your opposing Pokemon's HP to 0, you really want to make sure you have ways of healing back up your own HP to stay in the game. So obviously, you can like come in, take some damage for something, be an answer to something, and then swap back out with U-turn. Like now we have a flip turn, U-turn combo, right? So you can get that regen, and then you can come back in, and you can actually be like an answer to something else. Like you can take on 2 Pokemon, for example, instead of having to go 1-for-1 with something that doesn't get recovery. So recovery is super crucial. And also, this is a fantastic setup option with Nasty Plot. It can go Assault Vest and actually be quite SPDEF tanky, only with 79 HP, 90 SPDEF. It's still pretty especially tanky. And it has like great coverage moves in Sludge Wave, Sludge Bomb. You can go Grass Knot on it for like tanky ground types. You can have Heat Wave. You can have Knockoff to remove items like Scarf that want to try and outspeed bundle, or Assault Vest that want to try and tank bundle. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can set up, you have the utility, you have speed dropping options in Bleak Windstorm, Icy Wind. So there's a ton to delve into there. There's a ton that's really good about this Pokemon right here. Next up, we have another returning member from the TAO roster, another regen Pokemon. So we form a regen core, which is amazing in draft in my opinion, because you can heal off of each other. I can keep going between Tornadus and Slowking here. They both have moves to swap out, and they can go into each other and constantly heal each other up. This is weak to ground. I got an immunity for that, and Iron Bundle absolutely loves ground types, so there's no immediate threat there. It is another, like, it is like my first dedicated defensive piece. Obviously, Tornadus is more offensively, even though it has a really good defensive ability. So this is going to be a special SPDEF wall. It can, like, it's ungodly tanky with like max SPDEF Assault Vest for attacks. It's really good. You can go 3 attacks and just invest as well, and have Slack Off, which is another way to recover without having to swap out. You get really nice utility and stuff like Toxic Thunder Wave to slow things down, to chip things down over time. You obviously got, again, really great coverage, man. You got fire coverage, ice coverage, grass coverage, poison coverage, stab poison coverage, and then stab psychic coverage as well. Among other things, you got rock coverage, you got ghost coverage, like you got Nasty Pot to set things up. You got a ton of different stuff you can do with this Pokemon. It's cooking on so many levels. But it is our first dedicated defensive piece, and it pairs well with that chilly reception. And the reason is, when you put up chilly reception, you can go Icy Rock, for example. You can extend Snow from 5 to 8 turns, and Snow is up for you. That the backside is that does allow you people to bring Blizzard versus you in the matchup for stuff like Tornadus, but it does give, if Bundle's Ice Terra or non-Terra, that's going to give Bundle a 50% defense boost. It's already a little bit naturally bulky on the defensive side, and it's nice to have that SPDEF in Slowking there, and also the Assault Vest option on both Slowking and Tornadus for that, to have like a mixed defense. But it does allow matchups where Bundle can bring Blizzard over Ice Beam, where Blizzard can't miss, and it gets that defense boost, and it has the option to set up Veil for itself, with the fact that it can run Aurora Veil as, like, if you have Blizzard, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, Aurora Veil, for example. Or you can go U-turn, Aurora Veil, Freeze Dry, Terra Blast Water. Like, there's so many things you can do. It opens up a lot of possibilities there with playing with screens, and suddenly my mons are going to be a lot more tankier with Aurora Veil as well. So there's definitely some things to explore there. Absolutely nice to have it. It did fantastic for me in TAO, and Chiller Reception itself is just one of the best switch out moves in the game. Like, you set weather and you swap out and you get that regen going. It's just such a nasty combo. So that is going to be Doc, the Slowking Galar on the team, and the regen core is formed, and we're moving on towards Infernape. I drafted Infernape here. I'm not really sure if it was the best pick at the time, but it's for sure I need the typing and the offense that this thing brings. As you can see, I have 3 special attackers. It's time to bring on some physical offense, and for sure if Infernape can provide. It has Iron Fist to boost punching moves. You have Mach Punch, which is stab boosted, which is some priority that I need on the team. The speed is complementary. The offense, the flare blitzes, the close combats, another U-turner. So I have I have something to switch out with every Pokemon. I have Flip Turn, U-Turn Bundle, I have U-Turn Tornadus, I have Chill Reception Slowking, and I have U-Turn Infernape. So something to switch out on every Pokemon. Everything can switch into each other. I have a pretty decent fast Taunter. It is my first Stealth Rocker, so I can run Stealth Rock 3 attacks, for example. It is also able to set up either physically or specially with Nasty Plot or Bulk Up, respectively. It can heal itself up with Slack Off, so damage you do to it is not permanent. It can be behind screens. It can be quite a tanky Infernape as well, even though the defense is not the best. It has other utility that I need. It's another knockoffer with Tornadus, which is just amazing. Another way to remove opposing items. And it has that Will-O-Wisp, which we don't have yet. So if there's a physical attacker that's really threatening, we can burn it, and then we can set up Aurora Veil and be super tanky, and Iron Bundle gets that defense boost from Snow, and it's most likely not going to be any problem whatsoever. So we're good there. It's not weak to rocks either, because it's actually fire fighting. Fighting resists rocks, so it takes neutral damage from rocks. As you can see, it does not say that it's weak to rocks. So it's kind of nice that it's not weak to rocks as well, because that is less where we have to run boots, and we can run other items. We can choice ourselves in, choice band, choice specs, life orb. You can do assault vest, 4 attacks. You can do, there's so many things. You can do expert belt, you can do Chocoberry, you can do anything you want, really. So that is Infernape. I felt like it was nice. I kind of liked it in the takeover season of WPF, the last season where I played season 2. I felt like it was nice and had some play. So we're gonna see what we can do with it. So that is Infernape for the squadron right there. Next up on the list, we have Tinkaton. Now, Tinkaton is another physical attacker, so now we have 3 special attackers, 2 physical attackers. That's kind of starting to add up a little bit. Another Stealth Rocker, so it takes pressure off of Infernape to run Stealth Rocks every week, which is really nice. It also is another solid knockoff user in addition to Infernape, in addition to Tornadus. Again, with the fact that I think the most ways Bundle is going to be outplayed, it's going to be opposing items. It's going to be those scarves, it's going to be those assault vests, it's going to be, you know, those what's it called, the Yachi Berry for freeze dry. It's going to be like stuff like that that's going to outplay Bundle. So if we can remove that, it gives us more to work with, and whatever when something switches into Bundle, then the item is not going to be an unknown factor that much, because it's going to be the damage you do is the damage that sticks there. And then you can make sure that there's a 2 KO coming, and you don't switch up your move and then they have a resist barrier or whatever. So it's really nice. It is also another utility for us. It is manual like screens. You can set reflect and light screen. So you have the Auroraville option with Bundle, and then you have regular screens with Tinkaton, which is pretty nice. It can also slow things down with Thunder Wave. And then you can also lock things in with Encore. It has the offense of its typings, although it is mostly a defensive piece. This typing can do very well. You set up a sword stance and you start to do pretty good damage. Gigaton Hammer has high BP, although it can't be used like consecutively. It does have some special options as well. The attacking stats are kind of low, middling to low. I would say low, and they are close to each other. So there's not to say that you can't use special moves as coverage as well if something is really physically defensive. And you can do some endeavor stuff, rest stuff, but it's for sure people say that it's the best typing combo in the game, and I have to say it's one of the best. I don't necessarily agree with it being the best, but behind Aurora Veil, this thing is going to be super tanky, super annoying to deal with. It can be it's mold breaker rocks as well, so things can't magic bounce stuff that I want to do back to me. It's really nice. I can stick those stealth rocks on the opposing side. Is a more like safe way to handle it, so there's no Espeon, there's no stuff like that want to bounce it back, Hatterene and stuff like that. So it's really nice to have like some extra support, and it's also, despite having the defense and HP you see there, it is known to run physically tanky and be quite effective at that, because it's only weak to the 2 typings that it has. And like it has a very, very good resistance pool as well. So that is Tinkaton for the squad. I saw it was kind of cheap for 10 points, so I figured we scoop it now and then we work from there. It felt like it fit the team very, very well. Moving on, we have Regieleki, and Regieleki is a very interesting pick here. It is an offensive electric type, and that's really all it's known to be. The move pool, as you see on screen, is very limited. It hits for strong boost, transistor boosted electric attacks at lightning speed, and if that, nothing else, right? That's pretty much what it does. In return, it has only one weakness, but its defense stats are pretty bad. So it's really reliant on that speed. But the thing about Regieleki is that, first of all, it's a rapid spinner. It's my first rapid spinner, so it's going to be nice to get rid of some of the hazards. Like, my team does not enjoy stealth rocks if I don't have any boots. So it's nice to get those away. And if there's a ghost type coming in, that I can launch electric attacks on and pressure out. And if there's a ground type coming in, that I can rapid spin on. So people are prone to switching hard into Regieleki with their specific Regieleki counter, because Regieleki is kind of like a semi-win condition on its own, where if you remove all of the electric resist on the opposing team, chances are Regieleki is going to take it. Chances are it's just straight up going to take it. Specs, Life Orb, does not matter. This thing hits so hard, even though Transistor got nerfed from 1.5 last gen to 1.3 this gen, it still hits really hard with electric offense. And it's going to take down those tanky water types, it's going to take down those flying types, and it's going to really put on the pressure in that sense. So it also has more priority in the extreme speed. You can go physical Regieleki as well with explosion extreme speed, and you can go like maybe acrobatics with your item used, and then you could go for Supercell Slam and risk that 5%. There's some option on the physical offense side as well. And again, it's another way to set up manual screens. It's known as a nice lead with screens, and then you can kind of see where their switches are at to really strong electric type attacks, and you can kind of figure out your plan from there. And the reason I picked Regieleki with like the Iron Bundle is that it's weak to ground, and ground types hard counter it because they're immune to electric, right? Well, Bundle is one of the best Pokemon in the game at getting rid of ground types, especially Terra Bundle. So with this team composition, as you can see, I have 4 ground weaknesses here. I have Slowking, I have Infernape, I have Tinkaton, and I have Regieleki. None of those can Terra. So there's a lot of ground weakness here. But Tornadus is immune to ground, and Iron Bundle exceeds, like, getting rid of grounds is one of Iron Bundle's like best jobs. So I'm really confident I can still make it work. Not that, like, people usually don't draft 2 ground types anyway. In draft, they're usually, it's going to be 1, maybe max 2 ground types, I would say. There's maybe some Psychomaniacs that run 3 ground types, but at that point, Iron Bundle's having a great game, and we're just going to keep rolling with it. So it is a more like, although I have some defensive pieces here, I do definitely have a defensive side to this composition. It is very offensively tuned. A lot of things can run setup here. Regieleki might be the only Pokemon who can't really realistically set up. And even then, it has agility, so you can set up speed and be blitzing with Electro Ball, for example. Iron Bundle also gets agility, so you know we definitely have the speed aspect starting to get down. And even when Regieleki doesn't come to matchups, it's going to be that thing where people are going to prep hard for Regieleki anyway, because that's what Regieleki does. If you see Regieleki, you are prone to having to bring your ground type or your very tanky dragon or grass type. Because if you don't, Regieleki is going to run wild. That's just how it is, baby. And guess all those typings are weak to ice. Terra Ice Bundle loves those. So we take those. Let's go. That's Regieleki. However, 1 rapid spinner is not enough. However, there's some problems I wanted to solve here. First of all, my team is weak to ground, so we got to solve that. Second of all, my team is having one rapid spinner only, as so far. That's not enough. Third of all, I don't necessarily want Bundle to be the one to set up Aurora Veil. Though it can, don't get it wrong, though it can, it does take away one of its move slots. And some matchups, when you're talking especially about Terra Bundle, Terra Blast always have to be there. So that means that's 1 slot gone. U-turn is very nice to have, or flip turn if it's very water weak matchups. That's nice to have. Freeze Dry is nice to have. And then it's about that like Hydro Pump, Terra Blast. If you want to run Hydro Pump, something's got to go, right? Something's got to give. So that's why I have this next pick here, Cryogonal. It is specially defensive. Again, it does get a defense boost from Snow, so don't get like too caught up in the fact that it's 50 defense right there. With a defense boost from Snow and investment, this can be physical, like semi-physical bulky as well. It also just takes 1 acid armor to make that thing go up twice, like double. It's another explosion mon for momentum, so I can play like it's a high for offense team, although it's not. I can kind of play it like that. It's kind of nice. It has things to slow down. It has Icy Wind. It can slow like attacks, drop things with Chilling Water. It has Haze to stop setup altogether. It has another priority move for my team in Ice Shard, although it doesn't hit for that much. Things that are quad weak to Ice Shard, I can start bringing them into range and bring that stuff as well. I can slap on Ice Beam if I'm not running that much chill reception. I can slap on Blizzard if my team is really wanting to run that Aurora Veil. So this is the primary Aurora Veil setter right here. And it's immune to ground, and it gives me rapid spin for only 4 points. I thought it was worth picking up. And you might say, okay, well, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 9 to 11, so it's the 12th slot. As you see, there's not going to be a Mon there. You might say, okay, well, it's very early in the draft, and you have a lot of points left. Why is the 4-pointer coming out right now? I'll get back to it. I thought some high tier that I was saving off was going to be there by the time I come back to it. And it was. So we're gonna be picking some heavy hitters further down in the draft as well. But I just really wanted to secure that utility for the team. I think it's amazing. It can heal itself up with recover as well, to kind of offset the fact that I don't have a wish passer, and I don't necessarily want to rely super heavy on leftovers on everything either. So that's why it's there. It can also set manual screens if for what reason. It has reflect light screen if I want to run out of the snow and run the same playstyle, I can definitely do that. And then it also has some decent coverage and it's a freeze dry user itself, so that's really good. And then it also has that flash cannon just for those fairy types. It does struggle versus steel types, like it does, trust me. But Bundle can Terra to fix that. I have Heat Wave on Tornadus. I have fire coverage on Slowking. I have a whole ass Infernape. I do have Tinkaton with it doesn't necessarily do the best versus steels, but it can, T-Wave it, knock off its item. It can Encore Lock it. It can, Regieleki. Steel doesn't necessarily resist electric as well. It is the other way around, so there's that as well. So I'm not the most worried about steel types, although they are going to be problematic for this Pokemon in specific. Next up, we have Gligar. So the reason Gligar comes on the squad, again, it's I don't think 2 Stealth Rockers is enough on this team composition. I know Tinkaton can run rocks. He's very good at running rocks, and that's cool. But in some matchups, I really need fairy offense, and that's going to be Sword Stance, and you don't run rocks on that, or I do, but then I can have that third move slot. And in case I need Scarf Infernape, right? I don't necessarily want to run rocks there either. Now I have a third option. It's another knockoff option. It's another Sword Stance option, but it is a ground type. Because I don't want to suffer, although I have the Regieleki, I don't want to suffer from my own. I don't want to suffer from my own fate of not having a ground type, an electric immunity for other scary electric types, and it also is a ground type immunity, right? Because it is ground flying, so it's immune to ground. So that's another option. So now I have 3 immunities, and 2, only one of them goes away with Mold Breaker, so that's really good for me. This Gligar is my second Terra option as well, so it can Terra into other typings, which is kind of cool. Like if I can Terra Water it, so I'm not, blasted by ice, and I resist both my own weaknesses by Terraing Water, so that's pretty good as well. I can Terra Ground, make it even more of a threatening ground type in the case where I run Sword Stance, for example. Or I can Terra Normal Facade, I can do a lot of things, but the main thing is it's some physical defense, a ground immunity. It lost Roost, very sad, it lost Roost, but hopefully by keeping Aurora Veil up, if snow is up, things can blizzard this, I understand that. But if I Terra Water it as well, that's not the end of the world for Bundle, because Bundle can function pretty much without Terra as well, even though it does make it very, very good. If I really need Gligar to save the game, I can definitely Terra Water as well. I can just bring Terra Water Gligar, and then I can just see based on the game state, do I Terra Bundle or do I Terra Gligar? That's pretty good. It's one of the mons that did not lose Toxic either, so it's another Toxic option. So I can slot Toxic there and run some other coverage on my Slowking as well. Pretty happy about that. Also another U-turner, so for more swap out. Tinkaton does not have any pivot move like that, and neither does Cryogonal. So I just have a lot of ways to set up outside of those 2 mons. So that's really nice. It also gets some offbeat coverage, but more or less that's what this thing is going to do. I also drafted this thing just because of the points, obviously, but it gives me spikes and T-spikes as well. Very, very crucial. It gives me those spikes. Spikes, I don't have any spikes yet. It gives me another Stealth Rock option, but I have spikes as well. Because if you saw from the last WPF season, even Lapras can do work with 3 layers of spikes. You know what I'm saying? So definitely don't underestimate that. And yeah, you can just run rest and stuff as well on this for recovery. It's not the end of the world, like rest, sleep, talk, U-turn, something like U-turn EQ or spikes U-turn, or there's a ton of options still. So that's why Gligar is on here, a cheap ground type. Kind of wish I drafted a ground type earlier, but it is what it is. I still think it's functional. I still think it's reliable. And it also has those Psychic Fangs to break the screens on opposing sides. Only I get to have screens. Or I force in their dark types, in which case I get a super effective U-turn or U-turn on the switch. And it gets like taunt to shut down really tanky stuff. And it's deceptively fast for being a tank as well. So that's Gligar. That's Gligar. Next up, we have Trevenant. And Trevenant is here for one reason and one reason only. It's the spin block. But for 2 points, you get in Trevenant. I still think that's nice. It doesn't have a quad weakness. Not to say it doesn't have a ton of weaknesses, but it does have that. Behind Aurora Veil, I still think it will take less damage from things, and it can stab Horn Leech, recover back up. Another knockoff, of course. Having a bunch of knockoff is super important. Another Will-O-Wisp option. So if I really need Will-O-Wisp and Rapid Spin Block, I can bring Trevenant. Originally, I really wanted Bramblegast in place of Gligar and Trevenant as like a 1-mon, but it got sniped from me because I wanted another Rapid Spinner. So that's kind of why we went like the Cryogonal Rapid Spin route. But it's fine. It has the same typing, and it does come to Spin Block most of the time. It's probably going to be defensive a lot of the time, and that's fine. It does have recovery and pain split as well. It does have physical. It's more physical offense. Like, don't sleep on this thing. It can still hit hard with Banned Poltergeist, Banned Woodhammer, Life Orb, either. Just don't get tricked by it, And then it has more priority as well with Sucker Punch. It can trade its own life for something that's really a lot more valuable than itself with the use of Destiny Bond. And then it didn't lose Toxic either, I believe. So this way I put Toxic there. So I can Toxic stuff as well. So yeah, and Drain Punch can also heal on stuff. So for a Ghost type and 2 points, I felt like Trevenant was perfect. It helps align with the fact that I have a Grass type as well, completing my Fire, Water, Grass core, although it's not a pretty one. It is for sure a Fire, Water, Grass core anyway. So it's not going to come to the most of games, but it is a Brick Break immunity and a Rapid Spin immunity as well. So I can bring it and just swap it in and throw it into the fire, literally. It's going to be called Deadwood, so that's what it is, man. If Trevenant can sack its own life with Destiny Bond, take away something that's really threatening to my team, while also making sure I keep my 3 layers of spikes up, my Aurora Veil up, hey, that's going to be worth, baby. That's going to be worth. And I save points to bring other faster, stronger threats on other places on the team as well. That's just gonna want to be it, bro. A lot of people like to run offensive Trevenant, but I think I'm going to be mostly running defensive Trevenant. So if you're my opponent and you're watching this, that's helpful advice to you. Or maybe I'm saying that to put you off. Smiley face. So that is Trevenant. But as you can see, we have 2 mons left and a bunch of points. So my next 2 points, my next 2 purchasers right here is going to be 1 mon for 16 and 1 mon for 1 point. So there's the second heavy hitter is coming right here. And it's going to be Roaring Moon. People sleep on Roaring Moon. Literally, they're calling it Roaring Mid. I believe in Roaring Moon. Now, it is worth to say that you can pretty much shut down Roaring Moon in a couple of ways. If you can burn it, it's gone. You can hit it with a strong fairy type attack, it's gone. It's sleeping with the fishes. That's fine. But in terms of fairy resist, I'm pretty sure I'm well covered with both of my primary tanks. That's Tinkaton. That's Galarian Slowking. Both of them resist fairy. That's fine. Also have some other resistances in there as well. For fighting, you have Slowking. For Ice, you have Tinkaton. For Bug, you have both. And for Dragon, you have Immunity and Tinkaton. So there's always someone I can switch to between them, which makes me pretty happy. This one has Stab knockoff, so this hits hard. Give it 1 turn and it Dragon Dances. It's a pretty fast dragon, and that's what I knew I wanted. I was missing a Dark type, and I was missing a Dragon. But if I pick Hydreigon, even though, yes, it is immune to ground, which is really good for me, it's a special attacker. I need a physical attacker. And yes, there is physical Hydreigon as well. Technically, you can do it, but, it's primarily, naturally, by nature, a special attacker. I really wanted some hard-hitting physical offense that I can put behind screens. Is it weak to that Brick Break? Yes, but it is immune to those Psychic Fangs, so I kind of have to see by the matchup. It does get defensive uses as well. It can roar stuff out and taunt stuff. But most likely it's going to be, you know, relying on that photosynthesis with booster energy, same as bundle. Terra bundle can also run booster. But the thing is, if they want to be like, oh, I'm going to counter your team by just, you know, if it's a sun team, for example, or if it's like a Great Tusk with photosynthesis, and they set up sun for it, then I have a sun answer as well. If they want to get rid of my snow and set up sun, I have something for that as well. I have Infernape in sun, and I have this with photosynthesis, which still hits pretty hard. you give it a free proto and it has a choice band, for example. Proto attack choice band. No, you're not seeing the end of the day. I don't care if you call it roaring mid. You sleep with the fishes then. Yeah, so it's just got a bunch of great coverage. It can jaw lock Dragon Dance as well. It's another U-turner, which, you know, it makes me pretty happy because I can run Choice Band, I can run Choice Scarf, not being too worried about it because I always have someone to switch out who can again switch back out into me. It gets Roost, so no damage that sticks here is necessarily permanent. And then, although it does not have the greatest of special attack values, it does get some few hard-hitting high base power moves for those quads, like Hydro Pump, like Fire Blast, like Draco, like Hurricane. Like, it gets these very strong special attacking moves. So it has a very good special attacking portfolio despite not having the stat. So it is worth looking into that, but on occasion as well. But primarily it is going to be relying on both of its stabs and hitting super hard. And then my opponent has to be very wary of keeping their fairy type around as well. So it's going to just add another job to their list. I have to keep my ground type alive for Regieleki. I have to keep my fairy type alive for Roaring Moon. I have to keep my, you know, and by the time something drops, it enables something else. So that is going to be Roaring Moon, my amazing physical attacker. But I do have 1 point left. And at this point, we're just picking up the pieces. We're just trying to, it's just glue. You know what I'm saying? It's just glue. And that's going to be Quaxwell. There's not a lot, I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot for 1 point that you can get that will be perfect on a team, okay? But Quaxwell is pretty okay in that regard, in my opinion. It does have that Torrent or a Moxie boosted Aqua Jet, so it's more priority. I've used it in the past and had it come to several games where it Encore locks stuff and just sits there. Physical defense, especially defensive, doesn't matter. It can run both. It runs Eviolite, so it's pretty good at doing those jobs. It can switch out with Flip Turn. It's another rapid spinner, so if I really need like Iron Bundle, for example, is a very offensive oriented water type. If a defensive water has a really good matchup, there's a chance that Quaxwell comes as well. Few weaknesses, not bad stats if you look at it with Eviolite. Great coverage moves in terms of utility. It doesn't have the best damage unless you give it like a ton of Moxie boosts, but it is there. It is there. It might come to games. It might come to games. It might not. But it is something my opponent has to consider. Now I have 3 rapid spinners, so it's going to be... I'll pretty much always have an option to remove hazards, which is pretty good for my team. And then I have a bunch of ways to set it up. I have a bunch of priority. I have a bunch of physical offense, special offense. I have a bunch of utility with screens and Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, Thunder Wave, explosions. I have a lot of different things in my toolbox to work around with, and encores and disables and everything like that as well. So that's why for 1 point it kind of patched up some of my weaknesses. It's another answer to ground types and stuff like that. So that is kind of what I managed to do with my points. In some aspects, I wish I drafted a little differently. I got a little bit sniped. I got a little bit, not necessarily lost in the sauce, but I don't know, at some point, like, there's some mons here I'm looking at and I'm thinking, like, maybe I could have drafted something else. But no matter the situation, I'm really excited to be playing back in the WPF and with this team. I'm sure it's going to be a ton of fun whether we win or lose. I love playing Wi-Fi. I'm so happy to be back for another season of Wi-Fi. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this video and to this YouTube channel so that you stay up to date with the future WPF battles coming out. Make sure they're going to be so fantastically amazing. I look forward to all the opponents. Speaking of my opponents, go down in the description right now and subscribe to every last one of them. They're all amazing people. So without any further ado, that's going to be the video. This has been your boy Soulblaze, and as always, I'll see you guys at the next one. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and yeah, peace.